Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of JKL Media Reviews. I am your host today, Karen, and I am joined by someone who just made some gestures at the screen, which is why I was laughing, Jesse.
Hello, Karen. Happy Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving weekend to you, and hope that all of our listeners had a good Thanksgiving as well. And also joined by Lou. Hi, Lou.
Hello, everyone, and yes, happy Thanksgiving to all my neighbors to the south.
That's right, because it was just a Thursday to you, right?
That's right. We have a sane Thanksgiving. We have it in October.
Exactly. And we only get a month between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which
Exactly.
is,
We get two.
yeah, very
Plus, we get
rushed.
Black Friday.
That's right. Yeah, Black Friday is the same day.
Yep.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this episode of The Expanse. This episode is called Rock Bottom, and it's pretty descriptive of the episode. We have a couple of storylines, but before we jump in, let's get your thoughts. How about you, Jesse?
This was a pretty dense episode. I had to
Lots of
back it up.
rocks.
Yeah, I had to back it up a couple of times because I felt like I was missing some storylines.
Mm,
It, I think it moved around, it moved the plot really well. And it, once again, I'm really enjoying the show. I think it is, I can see why people love it. But yeah, it was a dense, enjoyable episode.
How about you, Lou?
yeah, the title was very appropriate for the content, but the episode is far from anything from being at the rock bottom because I thought it was a really good episode and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Yeah. Rock Bottom fits several of the storylines, which I like. And I played baseball in high school. I don't know if you guys know where I'm going with this. I played
Not yet.
baseball in high school, but I wasn't a catcher, so I didn't catch a lot of curveballs. But in this one, this really threw a curveball at the end, and I
Hmm.
wish that I could have caught it earlier. But man, it was quite the surprise at the end. Let's save that storyline for last.
Sure.
Um, I want to talk about, I'm sorry, I got to get their names right. Why
Which
did I not
storyline are
put
you
this
talking
up
about?
here? The one, Mateo and Diego,
Okay.
or Diogo, is that his name? So they're out catching rocks for minerals. They are rock hoppers, and there's a bit of a dysfunctional family dynamic happening here. And Diogo is, I get from this that he might be like the family F up, and he's been saddled. Mateo has been saddled with him because the family's just, I don't know what to do with him. Let's send him out with Mateo. And there's a bit of a mess up with their load. And they also get boarded by a Mars ship. And it, I found this storyline, it was interesting, but I'm not sure how necessary it was. Maybe you guys have a different opinion. How about you, Lou? What did you think of that storyline?
Yeah, I think they're just, again, they're showing us how the Belters have legitimate complaints about how the OPA takes advantage of them. The two agents that boarded their ship were pretty ruthless in their, what do you want to, how do you want to say that? In their shakedown of the Belters, the Rock Hoppers, and they basically made it impossible for them to get home safely because they said they weren't allowed to take any flight paths through restricted zones. They were the authors of their own demise in that the uncle, I think it was
Mateo.
Mateo, he had enough and he decided to use the asteroid rock to exact his revenge.
Yep.
I don't understand why they have to blow up the asteroid, though. Why can't they just haul it intact or wait until they get to wherever they're going and then blow it up? Like,
Might be
why?
more of a drag on the ship. I don't
Maybe.
know.
I don't know, but it was,
I don't know
But
either. Yeah.
yeah.
but there's no atmosphere in space.
But
So there
Yeah.
would be no
just
drag.
just the mass. I don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah, who
handling the
knows?
mass.
I don't know
There was
either,
a
but
weird moment too that the Mateo, like he opened his visor in space.
what
I
I,
was
I
that
saw that.
about?
I didn't get
Yes.
that.
He removed something, but I didn't understand what was happening there either.
Yeah, I'm trying to find an episode summary that covers that, but I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
I will
It just talks about
investigate.
the. Okay,
Since
you do
I
that.
raised the point, I should look in it. Yeah, basically, this whole storyline was a show don't tell, and
Sure.
people might say that it's unnecessary, but I actually prefer that. And it also makes you realize that there's other people out in this universe instead of just like the main cast.
And I just want to mention this because it is in the summary that Diogo, his nephew, was also the guy that got busted for stealing water on series. He was the kid that did that. So just a side note that we've seen him before.
Oh,
And
and is that why they made the line that says, and you'll be back to stealing water?
maybe,
That was a line they said something.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and that may be why he's out with Mateo, right? Because they're punishing him. Okay, so how about you, Jesse?
Give me a little leeway. I promise I'll get there, Your Honor. One of my favorite bits,
Don't pee
uh,
on my leg and tell me it's raining.
yeah, one of my favorite bits on the local sports station I do, I listen to is the Touchdown Brothers. And basically, they do a pretend sports station in Philly. Anytime the Cowboys are playing the Philadelphia Eagles, they will, hey, let's eavesdrop to the Touchdown Brothers. And they have Bon Jovi as their recording music, and they're just overly just Philly caricatures. And one of the characters is has a nephew that's their producer that just sucks. And the other host will go, why are we booking guests from this? Look, he's my nephew, okay? My sister's son. He's not very smart. Leave him alone.
Mm,
They get in an argument about why they have to have this kid work for them. And so I pictured that dynamic, right? The kid's a
sure.
screw up, and the family has convinced his uncle, look, what else are we going to do with this kid? You got to take him out there. I thought that was once again a pretty interesting, at this point, standalone story. Now, I have no doubt that perhaps we may see the nephew again, or this might be involved in something else. But to show, as Lou just said, there is there is an injustice that they have there is a reason why, taxation without representation, all the things that the American colonies did to overthrow British rule, this is the same thing. They are not being treated fairly. And the idea of him, the uncle, taking the ultimate sacrifice of, hey, I'm going to do. And at first I was confused why he threw his nephew out. What did the
Same.
nephew do? Like, he didn't do anything wrong. He may not be the sharpest tool but then you understand that I am, I have faith. I know if I keep you in here, you're going to die. I'm at least giving you a chance to,
Someone will pick you up, he says.
yeah, he says that, which you don't know for sure that's
Sure.
true.
But he's giving him a chance at least.
Yeah, interesting storyline, and we'll see if this gets something later. But I thought it was really neat to see once again, a everyday belter what we're doing, because we saw that originally when they were trying to get the water home and how they were all going to get bonus. And here's a smaller one, just a two-person crew.
Yeah, it's described as a two-person manned vehicle,
Yeah,
and it's very cramped, and you
yeah.
can tell they're like dirty, they want to get home. And I think the odds were like 99.9% that when they got to wherever they were going, not only was their stuff going to get confiscated, it was just going to get taken,
Yeah.
that they weren't going to get paid for it ever.
Yeah.
And so I think him pelting that ship with all the little things is, hey, you want it? Take it. I felt like that was a pretty humorous note. And then the ship gets killed essentially. And now we do see a Mars ship destroying a Belter ship. So it's not unheard of. And I think it's telling us that as well, that Mars is pretty ruthless
Hmm.
with and those guys, man, I really hope that they get flicked in the forehead at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what they were doing with it. They are showing us something, and they're also putting this kid in again. I'm assuming we'll see him again as well, since he's already made 2 appearances now. Let's see where that goes.
Yeah.
Lou, did you find anything?
Mostly the conversations around how long people can survive in the vacuum, and they're just saying that they probably showed that scene because it just to show that belters are pretty blasé or much more blasé about being in vacuum. And if you're only exposed for 10 or 15 seconds, you should be fine. So you should close your eyes because your tears will vaporize in that. But that basically they said that's just showing that belters handle vacuum better than earthers.
Okay.
But there's no clear definitive answer as to why they did that.
Mm.
He opened his helmet because there was a loose wire or something. How he got
Yeah.
that loose wire out without it just floated out. I don't know why, but that
Yeah, I
was the
don't know
reason
what it
why
was.
he opened it to get rid of that wire because maybe he was afraid it was going to hit him in the eye or something. But other than that, yeah, everybody else has the same kind of conjectures about why they showed that scene. So there's nothing definitive.
Yeah,
I
I don't think that's very well known, but that is definitely uh, how things would happen. There was a big discussion after Total Recall about what would happen if you
Yeah,
when he raises his hood, he's dead
yeah,
immediately.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think the most famous example is 2001 when David
yeah,
Bowman ejects himself from the pod into the Discovery. He has to go across that little bit of vacuum. So there you go.
How about you, Jesse? What were you just saying?
No, I just was it to me it doesn't seem, and once again, I'm not a scientist and I don't know based on popular culture and everything I know, I would think it would be almost immediately. But yeah, hey, if the internet says that you can survive for up to 10 or 15 seconds,
It's
No,
not the internet,
yeah,
no.
it's NASA.
okay.
Yeah, you can
Then
actually survive for up to 90 seconds, but the first 10 or 15, you can keep your eyes open, I guess. But they say he should have depressurized his suit before he opened it, and he also should have been breathing out and not
Right.
holding his breath. So it's a weird scene, but I think they're just establishing that you can survive for a short time in the vacuum, and perhaps that will play a part later on in the series. So we'll have
Sure,
to see.
sure.
okay.
Yeah, they included it for a reason. Definitely.
You would think so.
But yeah, that's a real thing, Jesse, that
Okay.
it's not immediate, but you really can't
That's
stay
the
that way very
yeah,
long.
pop culture movies have made it seem that it's immediate, but it's in reality there is a little window, a very small window of where you can actually survive it.
Okay.
All
See,
right.
look what
What?
you learn listening to this podcast.
There you go.
There you go.
So, shall we go to the Tycho Station? You guys want to talk about that next?
Sure,
You're the
sounds great.
boss. You're the driver.
Oh, wait, let's not do that. Let's talk
Okay.
about Christian
No, Christian.
on Earth.
She's a tough bitch.
Yeah, she sure is.
Or should I say a
Uh,
dirty bitch?
yeah. Again, we're seeing the lengths to which she'll go to protect Earth. And she's looking for information and she presses this guy, Carlos Davila, who's got a spy on the Tycho Station. And that plays out later in the episode. That's why I wanted to talk about this now up front. And you know how she says, the guy's, no, I don't want to do that. Fred Johnson, he's paying his dues. I don't want to really rock the boat there. And she says, yeah, but I hear you've got a son that, th- she's really ruthless. And it even comes to her talking to Enright, who is upset by the fact that she's done this because the dude came crying to him saying, what's the deal with her? And he ultimately, after he talks to her, gives in and says, yeah, I guess so. Just keep me in the loop. And what I do is how forthright she is with why she's doing it when Enright talks to her and says, is this a personal thing because your son was killed? And she says, yeah, it is personal. He says, I guess let's go for it. I'm keeping my eye on you, essentially. And that's what I got from that storyline. She is so intriguing to me, and we're just getting little drips and drabs of her story. So I hope that we get a little more of her in the coming episodes. Let's start with you, Jesse.
Yeah, I like that I don't like her.
Yeah, same.
She definitely is the heroine in her own story. She is the
Yes.
hero, and she feels like she's doing everything she's supposed to do for a greater cause. And she is a prime example of the end justifies the means in her mind.
Yep.
And I agree with you. It was great that she like, yeah, I did that. And it sure would be, it's almost, she's a better actress and the writing is better, but it's almost, it comes down to the local mob heavy going into a store and going, sure would be a shame if something happened here. We can make sure for a slight little fee, we can make sure nothing happens.
Yeah,
So
and we saw that before with Fred. That they're showing that people in this universe don't hesitate when it comes to shaking people down.
yeah, I don't quite know once again where we're going with this storyline, except that we are weaving
Mm,
things together, that this
yep.
is a very complicated story, which when you look at this compared to Babylon 5 is like 101 and we're on 301 series. But 101 is a prerequisite. I have an emotional love for Babylon 5, but I also think in my mind it shows that, hey, I can take an overarching arc that, by the way, wasn't based on any original material and take this. I am tempted to check the books out based on this because this is really well done. But yeah, I love watching her be bad.
My
Uh,
guess is you're going to spoil yourself if you read the first book because
that's,
this
yeah,
is based on that.
yeah,
I've thought the same thing that I'd love to read these books, but
yeah. And so that's why I'm holding off for now. But yes.
yeah, I hear it's a little different,
It's a lot
but
more,
Hmm.
there's a lot more politics in the books.
oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Okay.
So we hear more about Christian, I'm guessing, in the books. I'm gonna wait to
Yeah,
read
I
them
think so
until
too.
later,
Yeah,
but
but I
it is
am,
on my checklist to do.
yeah.
Okay, Lou, how about you with Christian?
Yeah, I'm in a difficult position here because I've seen the entire series, so I'm I can't disconnect myself from how I feel about that character now. I will say that seeing her in the early episodes is a reminder of the journey that I took on my feelings about her, because if I was watching it for the first time, I would be probably like you guys are in that you don't like her, but you like the actor playing the character. I will say that watching this continually reminds me of how ruthless she is. She's burning a lot of bridges,
Hmm,
and her motivation right now might be for revenge, or this is her opportunity for revenge, but we'll have to see how that modifies itself as the story continues.
sure,
I'll say it
sure.
that way without trying to be too spoilery.
That makes
So yeah, I'm curious. I had the same feeling as you guys were watching this with Jakar from Babylon 5, right? Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
I knew where this was going. And I was like, I can't spoil this, but they're going to enjoy this journey.
This is a
Because
similar situation.
okay,
Okay.
that's interesting. Okay,
Well,
good.
I will say you said liking, not liking the character, but liking the actress. I also get her. I think I'm sympathetic a little bit to her, and that
Yeah.
might just be my Earth bias.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, these early episodes show that she's a very good judge and manipulator of human characters.
right,
She can really read somebody. She does her research on a person to find out their weak points. She's a skillful negotiator, as that she convinced Aaron Wright to let her continue with what she was trying to do.
yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say she does her research. She knows who to go to and what buttons to press.
Yeah,
I,
and we'll see further evidence of that
okay.
in the next episode, actually.
Oh,
By the
cool.
way, yeah, if I could interject again, I think that's a really great point, Lou, right? Is that he came to her like mad. I'm
Hmm.
ready to rip you a new one. And by the end, he's, oh yeah, I guess you are right.
Yeah.
I guess it is okay for you
Yeah,
to sleep with the
because
pool boy.
Aaron Wright probably thought he had her when he said to her, "This is personal," because
Yeah,
you would expect the person to say,
yeah,
"No, it's not," and
No,
this
it's
is
not personal.
yeah, but she just comes out and says, "Of course it's personal." So that kind of takes away his what he
yeah.
leverage he thought he had. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
she
Yeah.
knows like she's not just playing this guy that's got the son that's up for parole. She's also playing Aaron at the same
Yep.
time,
Yeah,
right? So
Exactly. And I think it's smart of her to come out with it because she knows he knows. Why should she lie? He already knows why she's doing it. So I think that, and I don't think that's her only motivation, but I do think that she is taking opportunities to do this. That's at least my thought. Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about Tycho Station. We do see evidence near the end of this episode that the dude who she pressured, oh my God, why am I not seeing this? Not Aaron Wright, Carlos Davila. She has gotten him to actually contact his spy on Tycho, and we see that he has like an eye implant that's like a camera, and he's taking pictures of them.
recording.
So now they're going to know that Holden is on the Tycho station, or at least stopped on the Tycho station. And what she's planning to do with that, who knows? And we know they leave. That's already outdated information. I do appreciate the movement in the Rocinante story. They go from this crew that they've been to an outright hostile relationship because of Holden revealing that it was all his fault. And then at the end, they're grudgingly back together and ready to go as a unit out on this recon mission and recon and recovery. I found it very interesting, the dynamics that we see throughout this whole episode that, Naomi already knew that he reported the Scopuli find. So she knew, and she said to Amos, yeah, I knew, and I think he did the right thing. That's the first time we've heard from her that she thinks that, because
Hmm.
before now, it looked like she wasn't on board with that decision. But I'm, I don't know what that means. So I'm just going to leave that there. Maybe you guys have a different take on it. We also learn more about Amos and a little bit more about Alex, which that was one scene where we learned more about both characters. I I have asked these two, am I gonna Amos moving forward because he is the least sympathetic character to me. And I think it it went a tiny bit further for me that I'm appreciating his character because he does tell where he's come from in this episode. And apparently there's a lot of prostitution everywhere, mostly on the Belters side of things, apparently. And we do get a lot of Fred and Holden doing a bit of a dance in this episode. They're playing chess, but I feel like they're on different boards. Fred thinks that he's got, I don't know, enough pressure, enough leeway to do something with them. And Holden several times has come back and said, yeah, you don't have that over us. We can do this or we can do that. They're going to damage Tycho Station. Fred has done his thing at the beginning where he says, yeah, I don't think there's that many people on the ship. But what he doesn't realize is they're willing to do a lot to get where they're going to accomplish their mission, and they don't want to be blackmailed. So I find that little dance interesting as well. So much stuff happens in this Tycho storyline. And at the end, we see Amos who paints the mascot of the Rossi on the outside of the ship. So it looks like everyone's on board for what's going to happen here at the end of the episode. So I want you guys to give me theories or thoughts on this storyline. And there's so much that happens. Take it wherever you want to go. How about you, Lou?
I think that this section of the episode with the main crew of the Rocinante, I think this episode really highlights their base characteristics. Holden's an idealistic. Naomi is a realist, but she's or actually, let's say Amos is a realist. Naomi is conflicted, and Alex is just your good old boy. He's a foot soldier.
I would
He's
say he's a bit of a romantic, and I don't mean
yeah,
that in the love type of
right.
way.
I
I mean, he has rose-colored glasses when it comes to certain things.
yes, yes. So he's that glass half full kind of guy, I guess you
Yeah.
could say as well. So I think that's showing their base characteristics, and for each of them, that base characteristic will propel a lot of storylines. For Holden, especially, his steadfast belief in doing the right thing is going to lead to some interesting situations, despite whatever the personal cost might be. And as so far, his cost has been quite high. Two ships destroyed, riots on the Ceres station. So he's got and the threat of war. So he's got a lot going on. He's become a unintentional godhead or figure or martyr, even though he's
Right.
still alive for the Belters and whatnot. He's really kicked off like a whole different set of dominoes all over the place. And
And a movement.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that this section of the episode really shows their base characteristics. I also think it shows, just as Jesse mentioned earlier, how intertwined all these storylines are becoming. Fred Johnson's now got the hooks out to Christian. Christian already had hooks in to the storyline because of what happened with the Scopuli and the threat of war with Mars because of what happened to the Donager. And Miller's storyline is tied into this what happened to Julie Mao, who was on board the Scopuli. They're all interconnected, and the threads are becoming more tightly wound, and the storyline is becoming clearer. Fred Johnson's an interesting character because we know he's got that reputation of being the butcher, and like you said with Amos Karen, you think he's pretty unsympathetic, but we got a glimpse into the kind of world that he grew up in.
Hmm.
Maybe it makes him a little more understandable as to why he is that way. And Naomi is, she's got something going on that makes her conflicted about things. And she asks, just before they leave, that she asks Johnson that she wants him to follow up on or ask for a favor. And he says he'll do the best that he can. They're laying down tracks, and they're also setting up new storylines at the same time. So I really appreciate this episode now, watching it the second time to see all the lanterns that are being hung in this
Huh?
episode.
Yeah, I find her a bit of a cipher. right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
She had a reaction to when Holden, first of all, I love that they toasted Shed.
yeah,
That was a nice little beat. And then
yeah.
he goes on to say, to all the lives that were lost in getting us off that ship, which
Mm,
is a reasonable thing to say. And she bristles at it. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. I'm assuming that she is
definitely.
not into Mars.
Not so
So,
much Mars, but people that follow other people.
okay. So regiment. She's not into
She's
that.
not into the bureaucracy, the authority structures, and things of that, power dynamics that
Okay.
play out in those kind of things. Maybe I'm saying too much.
No, she
Probably,
said that.
yeah.
She said,
So,
I don't like followers.
yes, yes.
Yeah, thought that little scene was cool. And I
Hmm.
loved that he brings them coffee at the end too,
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. And I just want to highlight too that Johnson received some sort of data cube from Bobby
Right,
Vess.
Lopez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's that all about?
Yeah.
And I'm
So
guessing that's why they set up the whole data cube thing with Miller, that now we get what that device is that he stole from Lopez's body. That now we
Hmm.
understand that's a data holding device.
Yes, it's a storage
Right.
device. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Jesse, it's your turn. Sorry for all
yeah,
that.
no, no, that was great. I did notice he didn't bring the pilot coffee. There were three
Mm.
cups, and I was like, is he not going to drink any of his own? Or did he already
He's
have a
got his
cup?
own stimulant,
Yeah, so I guess
to be
so.
fair.
Yeah, maybe that's why you can't, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, I just noticed he didn't
That
bring
is a weird
cups.
that is a weird omission.
Yeah,
Maybe he
you would.
doesn't have any place to put
Maybe
it.
he just doesn't like coffee. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I
Yeah,
can't remember.
that's what in my mind canon is. Oh, he's not a
Yeah,
coffee
Yeah.
drinker, right?
yeah,
And I liked how each cup was like had a magnetic bottom, so it clipped
yeah.
stuck to the next cup. So I guess
Very
if
cool.
you could
Mm,
just let them float, they don't
yeah,
separate and go all over the
Why
place.
don't we do that now? Why don't
yeah.
we have like server trays that have metal in them and the
Hmm.
things are magnetic? Why don't
Yeah.
we do that? That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for
So
interrupting,
no, no,
Jesse.
a lot to cover. I agree with you. I thought it was really sweet them toasting their lost comrade. And I also like how this is not a group that had already bonded. They maybe knew each other, but in the way of you and I knowing a coworker that we see in the hallway, maybe have spent some time with. There's plenty of people at my office that I recognize their
Yeah.
face, but
Yeah.
that's
Sure.
all I know.
I
Yeah.
assume that Holden knew Alex a little better than he knew
Yes,
everyone else, and then
Right.
right.
Naomi,
Yeah. So
and
they
Yeah.
then lower down on the list,
Yeah, I
Amos.
think
Mhm,
it's more a crew on a ocean liner and a couple of passengers.
mhm.
Naomi and Alex were like, or Amos were like passengers, and Holden and Alex were crew. And the
Yeah.
interaction they had between them was at that level or limited to
Sure.
that interaction. Now, circumstances have forced them to come together. And that's the thing I forgot to mention that I think where Jesse's going, by the time they get to the coffee scene, you get the feeling that they've pretty well bonded as a
Yeah,
unit.
they're
Yeah,
starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I think what has happened is they've come to the conclusion that they need to band together to do whatever they need to do. That they're coming to that we got a bond kind of feeling.
Yeah.
yeah,
They
and
have a
one of
purpose
these,
now.
Yeah,
yeah, and they've chosen to do this.
right.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
before,
that's
like they
important, I
said,
think.
hey, you really thought we were going to let you do this by yourself?
Yeah,
And then and I think the symbolicness of him painting the logo and the graphic says that this is this is our ship.
yeah,
Yep.
Like this is not just something, forget the history. This is now our ship,
yep,
and we are a crew. And I go back to one of my favorite scenes in Firefly when the doctor is talking to Mal, going, "Why did you come get me? Because you're part of my crew." Oh, no, I didn't. Why are we talking about this? You're part of my crew. Let's move
yeah,
on. So I liked this thing. I was ready to hate Johnson, and I wonder if there's going to be more. he's been really good in some other things. I think he played like the father in, oh, gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the CW show, All American or something. He's played some interesting characters in the past, and I'm thinking that there's a little more depth, even though he did horrible things. Was there, are we going to get later that there was pressure from him? Or, and I certainly do want to go on the record, just following orders is
Mm,
not a legitimate excuse, as
hmm.
there's very much in modern political discussions. Yeah,
Literally modern, like this
yes,
last week,
yes.
essentially. Yeah.
So I like their dynamics, and I like the idea that, and we've had to do it quick because this is a TV show and you can't wait forever. But in relatively speaking, this took a while for them to bond.
Mm,
And the idea, each of them, if they wanted, except Holden perhaps, could move on to other places.
sure.
But Amos and Naomi have a connection that we're going to later figure out what about. And so it makes a sense if she chooses, he's going to go there. They have that brother sister, my ride or die partner.
Sure.
And
Yeah. This guy's
go
had
ahead.
quite the background. He's Tyrese on The Walking Dead. He was Dennis Cuddy Wise in The Wire. He was also in Roots. So
Hmm.
he's got
Yeah.
quite the impressive resume.
Yeah. And so the pilot, what's his name?
Alex.
Yeah,
Alex.
Alex is the one that you has the least reason to be there.
Yeah.
But
Except that he wanted to be in the military, I think, and now this is his chance to fly a ship
well,
that he
and
never
that's
thought
what
he
I was
could,
thinking
Sure.
because I just love to fly.
and to
And
fly a ship like the
he,
Rocinante is,
yeah,
they said he couldn't cut it.
yeah. So I like that idea. So yeah, this is one of my favorite storylines of where they're going. It's very
Hmm.
complicated. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I thought him bringing coffee, except for the one Alex not getting coffee, and maybe he's Muslim and so he doesn't drink caffeine. But just it was enough to go, why? Hey, I don't get coffee. What you don't? But just and I don't know. I may Google later why did he not bring Alex coffee? But the idea
You
of
might get spoilers.
yeah, he's all right. I guess I'm gonna go make coffee, and then he brings
Mm,
them all, and they're like, okay, let's light this rocket. So yeah, really nice scene that I'm surprised how, like I said, it, I like the fact that they were not together immediately.
me too.
It took some time, and I still know that they are going to argue, they are going to have problems, but ultimately, I'm getting the feeling that they will find a way to be there for each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, we talked about Amos's experience that he grew up in that kind of environment. So he wanted to know, do they treat you well here?
Yeah, and I
And
also like sorry to interrupt, but right, the
no,
idea of you need to get laid.
yeah.
Yeah, this is so it isn't that he has a disdain
Mm-mm.
for this. He just was, there's people that do it right and there's people that don't.
And you notice he says that after he's already confirmed they're treated fairly there,
Yeah,
that he says, hey, spend some dough
yeah,
over there. And
Grip.
then what the one thing I was going to bring up also is that now we know more about Alex and that picture that
hmm,
he is no longer married to her. But, and again, this is showing me that he's a romantic. He still has that attachment and he says, even though we're not together, I'm still doing all this for you.
yeah,
And
Yep.
he does explain that he couldn't wait to get home, but then when he was home, he was so itchy and restless that he couldn't wait to get back out and fly. So
yeah,
he had two great loves of his life, and he lost one. He sacrificed one in order to have the other. And then that attachment to his wife was why he washed out. So he lost both great loves of his life
Yeah.
because he couldn't choose between them. And now I think he has a chance to, he can fly the Rocinante. He can be the pilot he wants to be, but he doesn't have to sacrifice anything anymore. He can have his own life, but he wants to be flying. We do see that, and that says a lot about him. Before, I'm assuming everyone thought that was his wife and kid, but now knowing that he's no longer married to her and doesn't have that tether to them other than it being his kid, obviously, that he can be out there with them, he can have this bond with them, but still have this feeling of, I've had a greater life than this, than flying.
Yeah.
And I loved that beat as well. That I thought that was very interesting and it said a lot about his character.
Mm.
Anything else on that? Since I brought up
No,
something
No,
new.
yeah, I had missed that they were separated, divorced. I, yeah, you often hear that where, and I think one of the best advice I read a long time ago is that, and this was specifically for women, but I think it applies to everyone, is that they're conflicted because they're trying to have it all. And the person says, when you're at work, you give it all to your work. And then when you're at home, you give it all to your family. And the idea, but that is often right where when I'm offshore or when I'm on the ship or when I'm out, all I can think about is getting home to my family, getting home to getting my home family. But then once you're at home, you're like, okay, I've caught up, I've done things, and now then I'm ready to get back out there, ready to get back out there. And so torn between two worlds is really well said and good thought.
Yeah. I just love digging into the character beats behind, and
Yeah.
especially in this episode so far. I feel like they really told us a lot about a lot of the people in these episodes. And go ahead.
I'm just thinking about something Jesse said earlier, like about Babylon 5. I would venture that if you liked Babylon 5 or loved Babylon 5, would think that you would also love this series for the same reasons.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I might go a
Right.
little further and say if you're into like sci-fi with the complex storyline, that Babylon 5 and The Expanse are both in that wheelhouse, and
Mhm.
Farscape, even some of the more modern Star
Yeah.
Trek versions. The
Yeah.
original Star Trek was great, but it was definitely Monster of the Week.
Yeah, it
And
was because that's what TV was at the time.
and
Yeah.
so I would not put Star Trek in that same category. I would say that's more mandatory if you are into science fiction. That is a
Yeah.
much more mandatory thing to watch. Whereas these, if you're into Monster of the Week, then these are not for you. These are very overarching storylines. And Babylon
Though
5 was over all 5 seasons.
space is big, and there
Exactly.
are monsters out there
Yep,
in the expanse.
definitely. Many monsters. We've already seen one, apparently, in the original, in the first episode. Um,
Yes, we did. Yes.
and we're getting hints of that again, right?
Yeah.
So let's start on that storyline. I tried to get a segue,
Yeah,
but
well,
then Lou
that
had
was a good
something to
one.
say.
Okay.
That
Yeah, it
was
So
was.
oh, okay.
let's go in. Oh, that's okay. I'm good with that. So now we have a segue into the Anderson Dawes, Joe Miller, Julie
Wow.
Mao storyline. And as a side note, at the end of the episode, Shadid, Anderson Dawes has him kidnapped. That was the cliffhanger at the end of the Back to the Butcher episode, was that
Right.
he was abducted. And now we see that it was from Anderson, who he's distraught a little bit because Joe did not take him up on his offer to kill the guy who hurt his partner. And so he had to let him go, quote unquote. Who knows what he did with him? Maybe he offed him
No, he
because
says he let him go. Isn't
I
that what he
know.
said? Okay, you're not sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't take everything.
I would say that he did let him go because Dawes' word is very
Okay,
important.
that's
So,
his bond.
yeah.
Okay.
Because
good to know.
he has to have a reputation with all the other people he's dealing with.
Right. So he says that, and I'm assuming that's because he wanted Joe to be indebted to him.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. I love that I'm getting confirmation from some of this stuff. Oh, and I want to also at some point go back to the person that the Ante is going to go after.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's Julie because
That's
she
a
was the only
that's a
survivor of
very
the scopuli.
interesting. And what's driving you to say that?
Fred said he is the only survivor of the Rocinante, and we saw that she was the only survivor of not the Rocinante, of the
Oh,
scopuli.
very observant of you.
It took me a while to come to
I will
that,
say no
but
further.
okay. Okay, so let's move on to the Joe Miller and Anderson Dawes. First of all, not only do I love the actor who plays Anderson, his character is so intriguing to me. He is, again, we see a lot of ruthlessness in this episode. He he is not a fan of Joe. We knew that already, but I feel like, and it was a spoiler for the end of the episode, so I didn't know until the end, but he likes having people under his thumb. And he it looks like he'll do a lot of stuff to get people under his thumb.
Reminds
Um,
you of somebody else, right?
who?
Christian.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, ruthless again. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Fred as far as that goes. So, yeah, I do love his character. He reminds me of I don't remember the actor's name, but he's a huge character actor. He was on Supernatural as well, but on Firefly, he showed up several times and he was like a underground dealer. I don't remember what his name was or anything. Maybe
The
our
guy that played the
listeners know,
fallen
but
angel?
yes.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his
Okay.
name either.
Me either, but yeah, he showed up several times in Firefly and was one of those intriguing characters for me that he's that Han Solo character, which I like. But Anderson, I definitely wouldn't put him in the same category as Han Solo. But
Excuse me.
yeah, go ahead.
Mark Shepard.
That's him. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
Mo Ryan, the TV critic from the
Mm,
Chicago,
I love her.
said that there was a congressional law that said Mark Shepard was mandatory casting in any science
In
fiction
any science
show.
fiction show.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I met him at Dragon Con and had a absolutely wonderful time talking to him.
All
Yeah. I've
right.
So
seen some
yeah,
interviews and he seems like such a great guy.
yeah, he has been literally in everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought you were talking about the fallen angel Castiel,
Oh,
Mishagawa's.
Misha Collins. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking about
Crowley,
Mark
Yeah,
Shepard. Yeah. Sorry about
Crowley.
that.
Romo Lampkin in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, he's been in everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
every modern science fiction show.
Yeah.
So yeah, he puts me in the same mind as that, but his character on Firefly was a little more benign,
Hmm.
right? Anderson, you he's he's like a mirror to Christian. Christian does what she does because she believes in Earth. Whereas Anderson does what he does because he is striving for equality for his group, which are the Belters.
Yep.
And I feel like at some point we're gonna have the trains crash, even if it's like off screen.
Yeah, yeah, they are similar. Yes, they have
Similar in
these.
their
Yeah,
differences, right?
yeah. I mean, they are mirror images of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They would hate that comparison, but yes, they
yeah.
are.
Absolutely.
So Anderson has kidnapped Joe. He laments the fact that Joe didn't do the thing that would get him under his thumb, and he's useless to him now. And he goes through all of his stuff, and I was on the edge of my seat when he was playing with the hat. I'm like, please don't get the chip, don't get it, don't get it. And that hat has seen better days now. But
Mhm.
yeah, he wants to know what Joe is doing on this Julie Mao thing. And we learned that Julie went to him and he admired her for her wanting to throw in with them 100%. And that's why he went ahead and gave her a ship and a crew and all that. And wants to know why Joe is trying to find her. Now, what is going to be dangerous about Joe finding her is my question. Why does he find that a threat? He doesn't want Joe to find her. That's what it seems like to me. And Joe's a belter, right? I know he's the police force, but he's also a belter. I'm stymied, but I'm also really interested in what's going to happen there. And at the end of that interaction between the two, he's useless to Anderson, and so he wants to have him killed. And I think it's fun that he does it in the way that Joe has tortured people. Joe has taken away air from that guy, the guy with the filters in the beginning, and you're going to die as you lived, and he throws him in the air reduction, whatever that thing is, and takes his air away, and he's just going to leave him in there. But
I
his
think it was an
ex,
airlock, actually.
was it an airlock?
I
Okay.
believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And Joe did that originally, right? In the pilot episode.
Yeah.
But Octavia, his ex, comes to the rescue and kills the two henchmen. What was it you, Jesse, that we were on a podcast where it was like Henchman of the Week or something, or was it someone else?
I don't think it was me, though I like that.
Yeah, it might have been the Supergirl thing where we did Henchman of the Week.
Okay.
But these are definitely the henchmen of the week, and they're done. Octavia killed them. We also see an interaction between Joe and her, where Joe is, he did proposition her in another episode, but in this episode, he doesn't take her up on that. I'm assuming it's because he knows she's vulnerable at that point.
Or for another reason,
Okay.
which Dawes said to him.
Oh, because he's in love with Julie.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But you'd think that he's a guy, right? No offense to you guys, but
No, that's okay. Is that his? I missed that they were a couple.
oh yeah, he saw her in a bar earlier and they had a conversation about that's why I broke up with you, something
Okay.
like that.
I
Um,
missed that.
in an
Okay.
early, it might have been the pilot as well.
Okay.
I think
But
so, yeah.
yeah, it was just
Hmm.
a passing comment. It
They
wasn't a huge
they've had a
storyline.
past relationship, yeah.
So
Makes
so yeah, and we also learned that Joe's only killed one person in
Hmm.
his whole career, and that Octavia now has killed two people, but it's her first kill. And so he has a bit of experience. That whole story about the kid watching from the window was heartbreaking to me. We do learn, like the other characters, we learn a little bit more about each of these people. And let's wait to talk about the end of that storyline until after we go around the horn here. Lou, how about you?
Yeah, again, Thomas Shane is a decent actor. I can never say that I've ever blown away by his work and his other projects. I do think that his best work is in this series. And when he's playing off against somebody like Jared Harris, who's playing Dawes,
Mm,
those scenes really sing. And their whole conversation about how they see each other, Dawes sees
Miller.
Miller as a traitor to his own people. Miller sees Dawes as an opportunist who's trying to set himself up as the king, using the plight of the Belters as his platform. So it's an interesting power play dynamic between the two of them. I think Jared Harris, if you've seen him in other things, like he's got affected a certain accent or speech pattern in the show that really sells his character as being from another background. So I really appreciate his performance in the series so far, and his perception of the fact that Miller is in love with Julie, I think comes from the fact that he was in love with the sister that he killed
Yeah.
because he there has to be something in his back. He's good at reading people, but that takes a certain extra insight that I don't think he would have had if he hadn't gone through what had happened to his sister, and which is why I think they brought up that whole sister storyline
Mm,
in with.
sure.
And the as to the reason why he wants to know about Julie Mao, I think the answer to that is in the data cube that we see at the end of the episode. So
I
There we
get
go.
why Joe wants to know, but
Anderson wants to
is that
know.
what you're saying?
Yes,
So Anderson, but why
because
wouldn't he
Anderson
let Joe
looking
find her?
because Anderson, like Miller, is looking for leverage to get a seat at the table with the UN, right?
Okay, okay,
Because they need to be recognized. Right now, they're
got
not
it.
recognized.
And he didn't know about the data cube at that point because he hadn't found it yet.
Who didn't know? Anderson, but he knew about the cube. He
Sure, but
just
I'm
didn't
saying
know
he
what was
doesn't
on
know
it.
that Joe had it and he doesn't know what's
Well,
on.
he
Yeah,
suspected that he had it. He just
sure.
couldn't find it. He must have had an extra little special compartment in his hat band and they did a great job of having him Dawes walking around with that hat, playing
Hmm.
with it all that time, and you're going, he's gonna find that cube, right? He's gonna
Yeah,
find it. But
I was on the
then
edge
he
of my
throws it
seat,
at
seriously.
him at Miller, and that's okay. So I thought that was really well played.
Yeah, I
A-
wondered if Joe was provoking him in order to get him to stop
Yeah,
looking
absolutely,
for
absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought it was cool that he resisted immediately reaching into the hat and go, oh, it's still there. Oh, I've just showed them, but Joe's smarter than that.
Yep.
So I was this year old when I found out that Jared Harris is Richard Harris's son.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
you
I
didn't
did
know
not
that.
know that. No.
Ah,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, well, okay. Maybe you got a little, maybe dad gave you a little bit in your genes,
Oh
right?
yeah.
yeah,
It
for
runs in the
sure.
family.
I'd be
Definitely.
hard pressed to say who's a better actor, though.
Same.
I think maybe just because of the material that he's been in, that I think I like Jared better. But
Yeah, I
I
think
I
he's
feel like
been,
he's more versatile.
yeah,
yeah, and you're really, you're splitting hairs
yeah,
Right.
because, yeah, I just thought that was, we've already talked a lot about Jared, but like from Mad Men to everything else he's done, it just is amazing. So I love this back and forth and the dynamics between them. The I because I'm on a quest to watch every new made for TV holiday movie this
Hallmark.
week, yeah, or on the others.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the Netflix and Paramount and
Wow.
everything. And Apple TV has a new The Family Plan Part Two is set at Christmas, and
Hmm.
that's with Mark Wahlberg. And I never watched the first one, so I watched it, and it's a fun little romp in the cliche of a family man that has a past, but they play it for jokes, and it's pretty funny. But in the second one, there is a scene where his wife ends up killing someone or hurting someone, and she starts throwing up. And he says, it's okay, honey. Everyone throws up the first time. And then later in the
Yeah.
movie, the daughter has to protect them and she hurts someone or kills someone. And the mother goes, it's okay, honey. Everyone
Mm,
throws up the first time.
yeah.
So I thought
And
of
we
that.
do get that beat here too.
Yeah. So I thought of that doing it. I also love the reason why he was in Julie. He actually, the best lie is the truth. I like her shower,
Hmm.
right?
It's true. We've
It is
seen
true.
that.
Like, look, the truth is she hasn't used her water resources, and so I've been using it. Yeah, I don't understand yet why Julie is so important. I don't think we're supposed to know, but we know she is the current MacGuffin as we do this. But I love the interactions. And I am curious to see when they find out that Holden is still alive, though we're going to talk about without his teeth, maybe, or maybe because of something else, more teeth, what's going to happen. But I would remember we talked a few, I think it was a while back where we had a couple of great actors just doing a scene together. When we talked Severance,
Yep.
when we had Christopher Walken and the guy from Fringe, and we're
Right.
like, I could just watch this all day.
Yeah.
John Noble. Yeah.
Yeah,
John
just
Noble. Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
them together is just great.
And
Yeah.
when you
So,
throw in John Turturro,
Yeah.
when they
yeah,
had that dinner, that was just class, right?
yeah, and everything. Yeah, I am curious to see and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but I agree with you. I've never been a big Thomas Jane fan, just one way or another, just he's a guy, but I love him in this role and it's going to be really good.
Man,
Cool.
I have to say,
And I know you like him, right?
I do. I wouldn't say he's one of my favorite actors, but I really enjoyed the Punisher movie that he did. I think it's the best iteration of the Punisher when it comes to movies. John Barenthal, I think he's fine, but I'm not nearly as
Happy with him
invested
as
in
many
that.
other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I think Thomas Jane did a great job with it. And he's one of those characters that intrigues me. And I feel like this is almost similar in that he's a very gray character, where the Punisher is also very gray. He's a bad
Mhm.
guy and a good guy at the same time. So
Yeah.
I do like him in that. And when I see him in something, I'm like, okay, we're going to get a decent performance out of this. It's not, oh, I can't wait to see him in something else. So I'm kind of halfway between being he's a guy and being he's one of my
Hmm.
favorite actors.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Perfect.
that dance they did together, Jared Harris and Thomas Jane, that was really fun to watch. I
Yeah,
thought.
they're two sides of the same of a coin. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to, the Jared Harris, it, I don't think this is, both things can be true. Yes, he wants to be governor and he is ambitious, but I also think in his mind, he is doing this for the right things. He is
Correct.
doing this to, yes, he's ambitious, but he is trying to help his people and he
Yeah.
knows how bad things are for them. And so he wants to do that.
And if he can get power at the same time, then
Yeah. And just why not me? You
sure.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's going to orchestrate all this, why not be the leader?
Yeah. And that way I know it is that kind of, there's a little bit of ego there, but I think almost anyone who seeks political office, and I do, regardless of there is a joke, we should not vote for anyone who wants to have that kind of power, but the reality is we have to. So
Because who
yeah,
would run if they don't want to run, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I like the best about that the whole scene sequence is they call each other out on their shit.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Here's your
Like
bullshit.
like
Yeah.
yeah, Dawes tells Miller that he's a traitor to his own people, and he's disgusted that he's throwing everything away for the love of a woman that he's never even met. And Miller's calling Dawes on, yeah, you want to help the people, but at the same time, you want to be the one that benefits the
King.
most. You want to be the
Yeah,
king. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really good mirror scene for the two characters.
it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about Shadid. Joe
I'm going to say
goes
right
to
off the
his,
bat, I'm surprised that you
yeah,
were surprised
really?
because the breadcrumbs were in the other episodes. She told him to drop the case already, right?
Yeah, I know. I thought maybe it was like where the cop goes, "You're going rogue." Where the captain is,
Yeah.
"You're going rogue. I'm taking you off the case." But in this case, she is dirty. And Joe's playing it the way he should be playing it, where he takes his information to his boss, where it looked like in earlier episodes, maybe he was gonna do some digging on his own. But now he's decided, I'm gonna take this to a higher up and see where we can go with it. And it turns out that's not gonna go anywhere. My husband and I, again, were watching it together, and I was so shocked. I turned to him and went, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, I know. I didn't want to say anything." But yeah, he said also, you know what the saying is, always make a copy. And he does say, yeah, it's encrypted. I couldn't make a copy, but I hope he has a copy. I don't know about you guys, but so were you surprised, Jesse?
Yes, I was, though I saw immediately where this was going when she started asking those questions.
Mm,
When she's, "Oh, do you have this?" I'm like, "Oh shit.
yep.
Oh no."
Yeah.
And
Did you tell
so
anyone else?
I was watching alone.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, oh
No, I'm
yeah, oh
saying
me, yeah,
she
I did
says
that.
that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
Partner was there when he watched it the first time.
Yeah.
yeah. But I think maybe he suspected too, so that's why he didn't say anything, or just he's the type that is going to hold things to his vest. Yeah, I do. And once this was in there, I was like, couldn't you have, is there something else you could have tried to get out of this? But anyway, yeah, it was disappointing because I did like that actress and I liked the boss, and it is a cliche, right? The boss being ahead of everything, but it was still sad for me.
Yeah, same.
Cruel world.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel we mentioned that the title of the episode was very
Appropriate.
pointed, appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Joe's rock bottom.
Yep.
He's been
Yeah.
discarded by not only his peers, the Belters, and now his whole livelihood. His boss has discarded him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's done what he thinks is right so far. So he's at his rock bottom. We saw that Christian is digging down to her rock bottom by blackmailing people, right? We
Yeah.
get the actual rock with the rock hoppers, rock bottom. And then I think the storyline between Fred and Holden, they're both really digging down to see, they're testing the waters. I don't think it 100% fits there unless you guys have a different opinion. But man, rock bottom really does fit what happens in this
Yeah.
episode.
I find it highly ironic that Shadid is the one that gave Miller the case to find Julie in the first place, and now she's
Right.
shutting him
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Did she think that he was not, he just wasn't very good at his job? But I think we've established he is.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just think it
Or,
was she was unaware of Dawes' interest in Julie Mao or connection to
Right.
Julie Mao and
Yeah.
okay.
until it was too late.
Yeah. And
Okay.
she was given that assignment, hey, by what, Julie Mel's dad.
Yeah,
He
who's a
wanted,
bigwig. Yep.
and so that's why she put him on it originally. And then I think what happened is Anderson went to her and said, hey, you got to get this dude off the case.
Yeah, yep,
So
agree.
that's my thought, at least.
Yeah,
So,
irony exists.
so Lou, did you have anything else with that? That won't spoil things?
I don't think so. No, I think we've covered it all now. I'm good.
Okay. And where's Joe going to go from here? He's not going to drop it, obviously. But
Oh,
now he
no.
doesn't have those resources. So I'm intrigued as to where that's going to go.
So I'm sure he has connections because
Oh,
he's
100%.
done this forever. And is this now, I would say because he's not under any restrictions to follow the rules, but he wasn't a big rule follower anyway.
No. No, but
So,
now he's off the leash
yeah.
completely.
Yeah. So,
But again, even though he's a belter, we know he can't go to them because of
yeah.
Anderson. He can't go
Mhm.
to Star Helix to get information. So where is he going to go? So that's my thought about this. And
Okay.
boy, was this a good episode. I'm
Yeah.
almost sad we don't rate things anymore, but this might
Well,
be like a
if you want to rate
nine
it,
out
go
of
ahead.
10 for me.
Yeah,
Nine out
there you
of
go.
10.
There you go.
You guys,
Yeah, I think this is a definitely, and it's not a bad idea for us to start doing that for fun. We just had gotten out of the habit, but yeah, I think we should start doing that. And yeah, I think at 9 out of 10, why didn't you get your pilot a cup of coffee?
exactly, right? 9 out of 10
That
magnetic
really bothers
cups.
you, Jesse.
Look into it.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 battered hats. How
Yeah.
about you, Lou? What do
Um,
you give it?
I'll give it 9 out of 10 data cubes.
Excellent. We're
Nice.
Sorry,
all on the
just
same page.
coming off the top of my head. I wasn't
Yeah,
prepared.
and there
So.
were data cubes everywhere in this, right?
Yeah.
And two storylines. Yeah, so good. I'm glad we're all kind of feeling the same way about this episode. It makes me feel good that Lou also likes it because he's the one that knows the
Yeah.
ramifications of
I
what happened in this
I
episode.
like it even more the second time.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess Jesse and I are following your lead on,
Hmm.
Yes,
you know,
it is so nice once again to be back where we have a veteran and two newbies. So
Yeah.
good.
Or two veterans and one newbie in the case of Farscape.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is fun for me. I love watching it with my husband because I haven't been able to do that with any other show that we've talked about.
Oh, okay.
And this really does give us a connection, which I really enjoy. Our date night this week was Thanksgiving. So we had
Mm.
turkey and all the fixings, and then he gets to choose this next week. So maybe I'll put
nice,
that in every week. What was our date night?
nice.
Not that anyone cares, but yeah, so great episode. As always, a fantastic discussion with you guys. And I guess we'll end it here. How about let's talk about where they can find you guys? Where can they find you, Lou?
You can find me on YouTube at this channel, JKL Media Reviews, where we're doing our Pluribus and the Expanse watches right now. So you can check out our sister podcast for that. On my other YouTube channel, Lou's Reviews, you'll find our archived episodes of the entire Babylon 5 series, plus the recent animated movie. Also have my Stephen King and writer interviews as up there as well. And on Twitter and Blue Sky, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma, Sytsma.
Awesome. Jesse, it's your turn.
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter, AKX, Blue Sky. You can find me, Jesse Jackson, on Facebook. Lou has already talked about it. We wish some of you would go over and check out our Pluribus discussion. It's been a lot of fun. I am talking music on Set Lusting Bruce, as always, and would love for you guys to check that out. And please go to iTunes, rate and review JKL Media. We would love a little 5-star love.
Sure.
And that's all for me.
Awesome. So you can email us at jklmediareviews at gmail.com. I am at Eleveria on various social media sites, and you can find my blog at allestuff.com. Also, Aleveria. I got to get in the habit of doing that because my husband will yell at me if I don't. Um, so with that, I'm going to say good night and good luck to all listening to us, and thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And see. The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.